You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
'Twas the night before opening night, and throughout every park, not a creature was stirring, there wasn't even a bark.
The jerseys were hung in the clubhouse with care, in the hopes rising prospects would soon be there.
Mascots were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of hijinks danced in their heads.
And Mama with her glove and I with my cap, ready to emerge Thursday from our long winter's nap.
When out on the field there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bleachers to see what was the matter.
Away toward the fence I flew like a spark, and what my eyes saw was no longer the dark.
The lights lit the top of the newly cut grass, waiting, just waiting for grounders to amass.
When what to my wandering eyes did appear, new looks, new logos, and the freshest new gear.
With a lineup card in his hand and a pretty loud lip, I knew in a moment he must be the skip.
More rapid than Ricky, his players they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now first base, now second, now third, and shortstop. On outfielder, on starter, on closer, and backstop.
To behind home plate, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all.
Fans shuffled in, turning their heads up high. My eyes, they took in a perfect baseball sky.
So each to their seats, the spectators they flew, with the team into place, and the food vendors too.
Dogs poured in also, each one with a woof. To the treats, to the game, they ran in a hoof.
As I drew in my head and was turning around, out from the speakers the anthem did sound.
The mascot was dressed in fur from head to toes, rooting for the home nine to defeat their foes.
A box full of hot dogs the vendor kept to his side, preparing to sell out while the game was still tied.
Highlights on the big board, they twinkled how merry. Then came the bloopers and the critters so hairy.
Players' faces lit up, their eyes all aglow, knowing the first pitch meant one step toward the show.
Each pregame picture, big smiles showing teeth. The fans could barely contain their excitement underneath.
He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he danced like a bowl full of jelly.
Another bobblehead acquired, he thought to himself. Where will this one fit on my shelf?
Every style, every color of thread, every style to fit on top of your head.
I turned to a player, but he went straight to work and took infield grounders, then turned with a jerk.
Pointing his finger, it was me he chose, playing catch and practicing throws.
He turned back round to his teammates, gave a shout, but no one was there, not a player or scout.
Though it all been a dream, I knew an end was in sight. Baseball's back tomorrow.
Happy opening night! Dropped the baseball that I normally hold during this show, so you know that we've started recording, because it turns out that I always do that. Although thankfully, normally I drop it onto my desk and you can hear it clattering around over the microphone, and I dropped it onto the floor before we started recording today. So that means baseball season is here, and it's going to be a good year. It's like Punxsutawney Phil.
I was going to say, that's like the inaugural ball drop, right?
Yeah, basically. It's like Times
just
Square,
the minor league ball
but not exciting or cool or with people watching. But other than that, it's exactly like Times Square.
Right.
The inaugural ball drop of the 2019 baseball season. Hi, everybody. Welcome into this week's episode of The Show Before the Show, the official podcast of minor league baseball from MILB.com. My name is Tyler Maun. His name is Sam Dykstra. And joining us today, it is the opening day Megacast. And we are joined by our Megacast colleagues from seasons past and present and future. Kelsie Heneghan in New York City, along with Sam. Hello, Kelsie.
Hey, Tyler.
And our one participant via phone from the West Coast Bureau of MILB.com, our Pacific Bureau Chief is Josh Jackson. Hello, Josh.
Hello, Tyler. Are you not on the phone as well? Are you in New York?
No, I'm on Skype. I guess I should have clarified.
I got you.
Over an internet connection, and you're in a very Josh Jackson way. It's a throwback. Josh is he's always got our good historical things, and he's the one in on the phone today.
He's on a landline, correct?
I'm on. No, I'm actually not today. I've kind of phased out the landline, but we can pretend that it's a rotary.
Josh is
phone
wearing
booth on the street if we want.
He's got a zoot suit and a fedora with a press placard stuck into the side. That's what Josh is doing today. The same way Sam and I wear our tuxedos for the Milby episode. Josh has got his opening day 1940s wear on. It's very good. It's all very exciting stuff. Josh, by the way, big breaking news from MILB.com. Josh Jackson now has a dog. So if you don't already follow Josh on Twitter at Josh Jackson MILB, every once in a while you might get a Callie picture. That's the dog, and she is awesome. So what is she doing right now before we start recording?
She's chewing on a piece of elk. It's not hide, so I don't really, they hide is dogs can't digest, it turns out. So they make these toys that are like hide. Not toys. It's like not a food item and not a toy, but something they chew on and
it keeps them occupied. It's a chew. Keeps them occupied enough?
Yeah, a chew.
Okay.
A chew. The noun chew.
You learn all these new things when you get a dog. So follow Josh, follow Kelsie, follow Samuel, and we'll get started on this week's episode of the show as we kick off the 2019 minor league baseball season with the opening day show. And as we have done in seasons past, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things around the minor leagues, from our most intriguing lineups and rotations, teams, breakout prospects. We'll give you some projections as to rookies of the year in the American and National League, home run award winners, the Joe Bauman Home Run Award, and as we did last season, we will try to project who the top prospect will be on opening day of 2020. We all guessed coming into 2019 as well. Now, Sam, do you have our guesses from last year?
Not handy.
Okay.
Not for the Bauman Award?
Fine. No, for top prospect or the Bauman Award or Rookies of the Year. That's fine because I know I got all of mine wrong, so I don't need to...
Oh, yeah.
But we do have to point out that Josh Jackson did project Casey Golden of the Colorado Rockies organization to be a Bauman Home Run Award winner. And even though I think he finished one off the lead, Josh has never let me forget that over the offseason. So I should point it out.
It's true. I think that was my number one suggestion for a story for you to do in Rockies camp was a feature about what allowed Casey Golden to come so close to hitting Josh Jackson's projection for him.
It wasn't going to be a story about you had a great power season. What was that? It was going to be a story about
no.
You were predicted.
People don't want to read that.
You were predicted to win this by one of our writers. What did that mean to you to have Josh Jackson's endorsement going into 2019?
That's what people want to read.
I know I picked Eloy, and then he was hurt, and now he's in the big leagues. So whatever. He didn't win it, and I got it wrong. I don't know if I've ever gotten a single thing right in any of these opening day podcast predictions that we've done. But, that's why we do them, because talking about and yelling about sports is fun, and being wrong that's the name of the game when you're projecting things in sports. So let's kick things off. We're going to dive in first with the most interesting lineup in minor league baseball to get things started in 2019. I'm going to let you guys go first. We're going to have Kelsie and Sam kick us off in whichever order you guys would like to go, and then Josh, and then I'm going to go last because I'm going to just pick off one of your answers and use it for my own because you guys are smarter than me.
All right. Well, Kelsie has just been pointing to me the second you said, I guess the guys in New York are going to go first. And Kelsie's like, that means you're going first, so I will go first.
2 is my favorite number. That's clear the only reason why I chose it.
Yeah. So for most interesting lineup for me, this is almost a team I chose for most interesting team, but I'm going to keep here just for the lineup and focus on that, is AA Tulsa in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. This is a team that actually won a Texas League title last year. We had Gavin Lux, who was going back to Tulsa, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago this offseason. But it's not just him. He's coming off a breakout 2018 season. They return a lot of guys to that team. Keibert Ruiz is back in Tulsa after spending all the season there last year. He split time to begin the year with Will Smith. Will Smith is now at OKC. It's Ruiz's show to run. Probably could have gotten, the push to AAA, but again, they want him playing every day. He's still super young. I think he's going to be 20 this season. So what can he do after getting a foundation of AA ball? That'll be really cool to see. How can Lux build off his breakout 2018? Can he continue hitting for power at the AA level? That'll be cool. DJ Peters, one of the most fun players we've covered over the last couple of years. Going to strike out a ton. I get that. But when he runs into a ball, I think he was my pick actually last year for the Bauman Home Run Award.
I think you're right.
didn't quite get there, but he can, he's capable of hitting 25 homers a year. So stick him in the middle of the lineup. That'll be really neat. Christian Santana, I think he's going to play mostly third base, but he could play either corner of the infield. Omar Estevez on that team as well. I expect Jaron Kendall to be up in Tulsa at some point. He's starting out the year at Rancho Cucamonga. He was a first-round pick of the Dodgers a couple years ago. Toolsy, whenever he puts everything together, super fast, could work at the top of that lineup. This is just one of those lineups. It's going to roll over. What we want in a pick like this is somebody or some lineup that every spot you're going to be kind of afraid of. Every spot there's a prospect that we're going to be following. Tulsa checks all of those boxes. And as if the Dodgers, need another batch of prospects, position player prospects specifically, coming up through the ranks, to have a group like this at AA is really exciting. So I'll be keeping a close eye on them to begin the year, especially Ruiz. I think, he's got all the capabilities to be a really good hitter. Didn't quite show it last year because, again, he was super young and they thought so much of him to push him to AA for his age 19 season. This year, again, switch hitter. I think he's capable of hitting for a pretty good average, hitting with a little bit more power than he showed last year, 12 homers in 101 games. So what does the complete version of Ruiz look like? I think we're going to find out real quick, and then complement him with guys like Lux and Peters. And that's the type of lineup that excites me, and I think that's the lineup that is going to excite a lot of other people. Kelsie, who did you pick? And I'm looking at yours. I think yours might actually supersede mine, but anyways, go ahead with your reason.
I will say I do like Tulsa, and
we will revisit Tulsa.
We will revisit that. But I'm going with the newly minted AAA San Antonio that's now with Milwaukee. They used to be a AA affiliate of the Padres, so that's going to take some getting used to. But I went with San Antonio because I just couldn't say no to a lineup that features Keston Hiura and Corey Ray. Keston is exciting player every night. He's doing something. He has a 70 grade hit tool, which pretty few guys have, especially in the top 100. He finished last year as the AFL MVP. So after a long season, I believe it was his first full season, so he kept going. And then Corey Ray, who was the Southern League MVP last year, and I believe he was the first player in the Southern League to lead the league in both homers and stolen bases. So he's a double threat there. Also in the outfield, so they're both exciting. Then they also have Dubon and Urseg, Nottingham, Troy Strokes Jr., Tyrone Taylor. I mean, again, it'll mostly be Keston and Corey Ray, and we'll see how long they're even there. They could even, have a couple big months and then be called up to Milwaukee. I don't know, but I just can't look away from this lineup, and I know it's going to be a game that we're watching almost every single night.
Josh, take it away.
All right, Sam, you especially, I would like to be sitting down for this. I've got a team here with no top 100 prospect position player.
Wow.
I'm talking about the Bees of Salt Lake, who play in the AAA Pacific Coast League. Here we have some guys coming back to the league who are already who have already hit pretty well in AAA and who are going to be, continuing to play in Salt Lake. And, whenever they go on the road and are not in Salt Lake, they'll still be in the Pacific Coast League, which is, a favorable circuit for hitters. And this is an Angels affiliate. And the names that really made me go, okay, this is a lineup that's going to put up a lot of runs and be an exciting lineup to pay attention to every night. Are Luis Rengifo is heading back there, Matt Size, Jared Walsh, Jose Rojas. Taylor Ward is not technically a prospect any longer, I think, but he was one of the two or three best hitters in the minor league last year. I believe he was the fan vote for the Milby Award for Best Offensive Player. All of those guys, those guys are all headed to Salt Lake out of the gate. They'll open there tomorrow. And then it's also a team that, you can kind of see maybe Marsh or Brandon Marsh or Jemai Jones popping in there at some point before too long. And I think that's an exciting group too, because it has a chance to, show that the Angels do have some quality depth in that system, but behind, their biggest minor league stars, Adele and Martian Jones, I'd say really, and obviously Griffith Canning too. So that's my pick.
That's an interesting one. Mine is maybe some low-hanging fruit, but and I'm sure we'll revisit it as we move into most intriguing team for 2019. But the Buffalo Bisons come into opening day in 2019. They don't have a healthy Vlad Guerrero Jr., but they do have Bo Bichette, the second-ranked prospect in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, and they get some guys back on that roster who – actually, it kind of surprises me, at least in one case, still listed among the prospect ranks. Anthony Alford, friend of the show. Anthony Alford and catcher Reese McGuire, Alford the outfielder. Both of those guys are top 30 prospects in the Blue Jays organization. Kevin Biggio is a top 10 prospect in the Blue Jays organization. He's also on that roster, and they will get Vlad eventually. When Vlad Guerrero Jr. gets healthy, he's going to go to AAA. I would be stunned if we see him there for too long, but coming out of an injury, you never know if he starts a little bit slowly. Maybe the Blue Jays choose to be more patient with him than what people would have expected starting 2019. But that, to me, was the most interesting lineup last year. Crushed everything in the Eastern League, and I think it's going to be the same way for at least as long as that group is together in the International League, and that's kind of the key. Those guys could make moves quickly if they get started hot, so keep an eye on Buffalo, and if you're in that area, get out there quickly.
Tyler, one thing to add quick to that, yes, just before we get too far. That Buffalo team is going to be fascinating, but one guy you mentioned, Anthony Alford, is actually already up in Toronto.
Then I lied to all of you, and I apologize.
Well, no, that's the thing about the AAA level, and this will come up, I'm sure,
he was on their announced opening day roster, but yeah, that stuff,
it was yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. So with
pretty quickly.
With Kevin Pillar getting moved to San Francisco, a lot of people thought that was to make a move to free up some space for Anthony Alford. Now, Anthony Alford, the last 3 years, has continually bounced between Toronto and Buffalo. So it's not necessarily the end of that. Maybe somebody like Billy McKinney, who I know is also slotted to move in to get some outfield time, maybe he bounces back between Toronto and Buffalo. There's a lot of opportunities for those guys to, even if they're not showing up in the major leagues, come back down to Buffalo and form, like you said, a really, really cool lineup with Biggio, Bichette, and Vlad. Hopefully for not very long, but at some point in April. So that's a lineup that we're going to be watching day in and day out, no matter what.
If your dad played in the big leagues, chances are you are in the Blue Jays organization. We'll move on to the most intriguing rotation in 2019. Sam, take it away.
Yeah, so for this one, again, I think Kelsey's going to take the team that was my second choice, which is good, but we're going to stick in the same system, and Tyler's going to turn this into a joke in a second, I'm sure.
You got to stop looking at my screen.
I know, yeah.
Wait for it to happen.
But my pick is the AA Mississippi Braves.
You don't say, Sam.
I know, yes. Fascinating, I'm sure. But what I think is really interesting about Mississippi, in a way that Gwinnett is obviously going to be really interesting. They started out the year with guys like Tuki Toussaint, and Luis Gohara will be there eventually, and Mike Soroka will be there eventually, and Kobe Allard is there now. Just rolling talent, and I'm sure Kyle Wright and Bryce Wilson, they start out in the majors. Would not be surprised to see them bouncing up and down as the season goes along. There are going to be tons of top 100 names there. Mississippi has one of those guys, in Ian Anderson, and a lot of guys who are knocking on the door. Kyle Muller and Joey Wentz are probably the top two left-handed pitching prospects in almost any other system. Right now they get kind of buried with the Braves, but those are the number 2 and number 3 starters for Mississippi. Patrick Weigel is coming back off Tommy John surgery. He made a couple of rehab starts at the end of last year, then really impressed the Braves and instructs. They're allowing him to be a starter, which is not something I would have expected coming into the spring. I thought they were going to kick him into the bullpen. He's going to start day 4 for the Braves. And then Tucker Davidson is another pitching prospect for them. Obviously, the Braves, as we've discussed ad nauseum to Tyler anyway, they know how to develop pitchers.
Braves.com.
Yeah, right. They know how to develop pitchers, and these are the next guys here. Now, Gwinnett, there's going to be a lot of movement there, and that means more talent and probably more watchability, to be honest. But in terms of guys who are going to be there for a while and really be able to establish themselves and at a difficult level, and
if Ian Anderson is around in the Southern League for a while, he's going to start, picking up strikeouts and moving up that leaderboard. Kyle Muller, Joey Wentz, the same thing. They could start showing some stuff that, if they're not going to be challenged with a move to AAA just because there's not rotation spot there, they could start throwing up some really, really impressive starts. If Weigel's stuff holds up from what he showed in Instructs with even more velocity, and the Braves were saying when I was in spring training that they like him now more coming off the surgery than maybe they did beforehand. This Braves rotation, we could look back on it and say, like, hey, this actually was more talented than what we saw in Gwinnett. There's some work to do there, but I'm more excited to see that work happen than something with Gwinnett where it's just like, okay, you lived up to expectations. And now Kelsey's going to tell me why I'm wrong about Gwinnett.
That was a great intro. Yes, I have Gwinnett, the AAA Braves affiliate, just because you do have those names like Soroka, Tukey, Allard. And I know even Allard has slipped in the rankings a little bit over the past few years, but I think he's still a pretty exciting lefty that they have. All these guys do have major league experience, and there could be a lot of up and down with Kyle Wright and Bryce Wilson. But that just means that you have more options. You have more than 5 really exciting starters on any given night because there could be that much movement. And like you said, Luis Gohara is going to get back from the IL soon and go to the IL.
Yeah. The injured list.
The injured list and go to the International League, yes. And then if Sam was picking on my stuff, I'm going to piggyback off of his, and all of those exciting guys that he mentioned will probably be in Gwinnett at some point. I know he said, yes, that is tough with how much room you have and who's going to be in the majors and who's not, and if there even is room in Gwinnett. But if there is, it's probably going to be Ian Anderson who's stepping up. So there's another guy you'll have. And they have Mike Fultonevich pitching on opening night, in a rehab start, whatever, but it's still someone exciting to watch for Gwinnett. So I am very interested in that rotation.
Josh?
Yeah, I also could not get away from Gwinnett. The big names, really. I think, between both Sam and Kelsie, it's mostly been said. Point that Sam just kind of touched on, that Kyle Wright is in the big leagues now, but we don't really know. We can't say he's definitely not going to make any starts at Gwinnett, and I guess it's the same probably the same with a lot of those top prospects that are there now. They could end up making spot starts in Atlanta and up and down. So for that additional reason of kind of the issue of roster movement, I think that's an interesting rotation to watch.
Mine is different from the high ceilings and quick ascent of those guys. I picked this as my most intriguing team. And obviously, if you've listened to this podcast more than a handful of times, you know that I'm based in Denver. I went to Rockies camp last month and uncovered that this was probably going to be the case. The Rockies have 3 former first-round picks in the rotation for the Asheville Tourists to start the season.
I knew you were going to pick them. I almost picked them, but I was like, I'll let Tyler have it.
It's fascinating to me because 2 of those guys are coming back from very star-crossed years last season. Riley Pint, who was the 4th overall pick in 2016, obviously came into pro ball with a ton of notoriety. He was heavily featured in Jeff Passan's book, The Arm, as being one of those guys who maybe could be the counterweight to all of the arm injuries that pitchers suffer because he was such a diverse high school athlete. He played basketball. He did all these other things. Last year, started the season with forearm stiffness, pitched a third of an inning with Class A Asheville to start the year, walked a couple of guys, gave up a whole bunch of runs. He had an ERA of 81 over that third of an inning that he was able to get an out. And then he was basically gone until the end of the season. He made 3 appearances with Class A Boise at one point. The forearm stiffness came first. Then it was a strained oblique. So he only pitched 8 1/3 total innings last year. Riley Pine's going back to Asheville, place where he spent all of 2017, brutal start to 2018, and now he's got to go try to slay that dragon again. Another guy who's going to join him there is Mike Nicorak, who was also a first-round pick in 2015. He was a 27th overall selection. Came in, looked like he was really starting to get things figured out moving into 2017, and then blew out his elbow toward the UCL, needed Tommy John surgery. He was only able to come back for 9 games at the end of last season. I shouldn't say only able. That's a tremendous accomplishment when you can come come back from Tommy John a year later. Made a couple of starts, did all that for Class A short season Boise, so he's going to get his first taste of a full season ball. Joining those guys is kind of the opposite on the first round pick road, I guess, when you look at the routes that these guys have taken. Colorado last year went with a collegiate first-round pick, and Ryan Rollison, who went to them, the lefty out of Ole Miss, they took him at 22nd overall. He dominated the Pioneer League last year in his pro debut, a 1.86 ERA and 9 starts there. He struck out 34 in 29 innings. So you get these two guys who are kind of star-crossed and have dealt with injuries and have dealt with bad luck, and then this other guy who theoretically could make a really quick climb through the organization. It's just a really, really interesting mix. And so Class A Asheville, if you're a South Atlantic League fan, there's some intriguing ones coming through on that side. So that is our run through the most interesting rotations in the minor leagues in 2019. And now we're going to go for the full-on ensemble cast evaluation. Most interesting team in 2019. Sam.
Yeah, this one I think speaks as much to the strength of the major league team as it does to this team in itself. And, I wrote about this week. I did where will top prospects start, and I kind of included a little note in there about how, we always get more excited about AAA lineups. Thankfully, Tyler, you're here for coverage about Class A, and I'm grateful for you bringing that up because, it's easy to say, like, hey, AAA Gwinnett is really interesting. AA Mississippi is interesting because we know these guys. We've been following
And to
them.
be fair, that's what a lot of fans want to hear because they want to know who is closest to helping my team.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So with that caveat, and my team is another AAA team, and I understand, a lot of what I'm picking is the upper minors, but AAA Round Rock in its first season as an Astros affiliate is loaded, is absolutely loaded. And that's because the Astros themselves are absolutely loaded. Kyle Tucker was one of the best hitters in the PCL last year. He's back in the PCL because the Astros signed Michael Brantley as a free agent this year to add to their outfield mix. Kyle Tucker should be a major leaguer somewhere. He could be in one of like 25 different outfields. He's just in one of the 5 organizations that is too crowded of an outfield that he needs to get more minor league time. So, he's one of those guys there. They pushed Forrest Whitley to AAA, which is super exciting. He was really good in the AFL last year, obviously had some issues during the regular season, including a drug suspension, and then had some injuries for AA Corpus Christi. Only got a handful of starts there. They're pushing him to AAA because, listen, they know his package of pitches could probably get major leaguers out right now. He showed that this spring. They're going to test him out in the heat of the PCL. Josh mentioned before, one reason to follow Salt Lake is they play in the PCL. They're going to rack up runs no matter what. Forrest Whitley going into some of these really hitter-friendly environments is going to be really, really cool to see how he adjusts to that. So to see him get that push. Kyle Tucker, I already mentioned. Jordan Alvarez is back in AAA after he got the push to Fresno at the end of last year. Just look at this outfield group for Round Rock. Jordan Alvarez, Derek Fisher, who was one of their top prospects a couple of years ago. He's officially graduated. No place for him in Houston right now. He's in the mix. Miles Straw, who might be the fastest guy in the minor leagues, led the minor leagues in stolen bases last year, is a defensive wizard in center field, has a really good arm out there, could be making plays like Ramon Laureano or Byron Buxton or something like that. His bat isn't quite ready enough, but he's going to be running all around the park for Round Rock. Kyle Tucker, those are just 4 outfielders I named right there. Trying to find playing time for these guys is going to be really interesting. AJ Reed is basically a quad A player right now, but he can be dominant in the middle of that lineup. Garrett Stubbs is the best catching prospect in the Astros system right now. He's at AAA. Corbin Martin, he climbed into the top 100 this year. He's joining Whitley in that rotation. Sionel Perez, he got a little bit of time in Houston at the end of last year. He's still one of their top pitching prospects. He's there as well. Francis Martez, Rogelio Armenteros. These are guys that used to be some of the top arms in that Houston system. All of these guys are gathered at Round Rock at the same time. I would like to say, what we said about some of these other teams, that at some point a lot of these guys are going to get it called up. And I do hope, that Kyle Tucker gets his chance at some point. I hope that Jordan Alvarez shows his power potential, gets the ball off the ground a little bit more, forces his way into the Houston lineup. I hope Miles Straw is used as kind of a pinch runner extraordinaire for Houston. But it's just you don't see it right now.
the way the Astros 25-man roster is construed. So this team could be together for a while. And, if they're leading their division in the PCL by 5 games, in June, with most of this core still intact, I would not be surprised. So there's just so many guys here that are going to be must follows, all on one roster, and it's going to be really, really cool to see. As if the Astros need to get richer in that aspect, but having these many guys at the ready, one stop away. For their first partnership with Round Rock is really, really cool and going to be really, really fun to follow this summer. Kelsie, who do you got?
So I have AA Tulsa, as we mentioned earlier. We're going to circle back to that. Sam mentioned all those hitters: Ruiz, Lux, Peters, Estevez, Santana, and they're all great. But then we also got really strong pitching staff with Dustin May, who I know was just recently on the show.
Who said he didn't know where he was starting. I don't know if I believed him at the time, but now we know he will be.
I don't believe any of them. Like when Josh and I have had this conversation so many times, when you ask like a farm director, hey, you got any idea where this guy's going to go? They're always like, no, we have no clue. Get out of here. You all know. Lying to us.
Yeah, so whether or not May knew, we don't know. We just know that he doesn't prefer Ginger Guard. Just as long as you're talking about him. So we're talking about him now. But May got a little taste of Tulsa last year. Didn't do the best, but I think that once he gets adjusted this year, he'll do a lot better. And then behind him, you got Mitchell White, you got Yadier Alvarez, and Marshall Kasowski. Sorry, they both have 70-grade fastballs. I know Alvarez was in Tulsa last year, but missed 2 months with a groin strain, so that'll be good for him to settle in. Kasowski is a relief pitcher, so it's pretty exciting when you got that crazy fastball in the ninth inning going to shut down the end of the game. Obviously, like I said, Sam mentioned all those big hitters. Then they got the pitchers, and when you're in AA, you're also one call from the show, so that's also an exciting time for them to prove themselves and see what they can do, though. As you mentioned, the Dodgers don't necessarily have lots of space, but I think it'll be pretty exciting.
And one thing to piggyback off that I couldn't really mention because it was in the lineup, but Ruiz working with these pitchers is going to be really interesting. True. I mean, I think everybody in LA would love to see Dustin May throwing to Keibert Ruiz for years to come. So that partnership, how that's going to develop, how they're going to get to know each other better and hopefully foster those relationships will be fun to watch. Josh, who you got?
Well, I think this will be the last time that I have overlap like this, but I had that AA Tulsa team for all of those. All those reasons you mentioned. The really like the individual players, especially Ruiz and Lux and Peters, those three are all, alone. You want to watch the team that they're playing on. They're really exciting, dynamic players. And yeah, you mentioned Estevez, Sam, earlier, and Santana. They're both really strong hitters. I mean, Santana has some really natural and raw power. He doesn't always, he doesn't. I don't think he's quite developed the plate approach that he'll hopefully have by the end of the season at AA. But he's definitely an impact kind of player and worth watching. That group all together is just really exciting. Kelsie, she touched on a lot of the reasons that the pitching rotation is interesting and exciting. Alvarez especially, I think, is, the word we use is most interesting. Most interesting is the phrase we use to talk about this. And I think Alvarez is a guy, I think it's kind of difficult to, more so even than with your typical pitching prospect. There's no such thing as a pitching prospect, right? It's difficult to kind of project exactly what his career is going to look like. It seems like he could have a tremendously high ceiling. He's going to have to, like, pretty soon, I would think, in his development, start exhibiting a little more control.
Any control.
Pitch where yeah. So I think, that makes him like an especially interesting guy to watch among that group. So just to not I don't. Let's not cheat any listeners out of a complete experience here by repeating same selections again and again. So I'll throw in an honorary or a shout out to my hometown AA Portland Sea Dogs with Bobby Dahlbeck and Durbin Feltman and Darwins and Hernandez. The latter two, relievers in the Red Sox system who could be big, could be helpful this year maybe in Boston at some point. And Bobby Dahlbeck, one of the most exciting power hitting prospects I think in the game. So. Yeah.
I had the AA Tulsa Drillers. No, a very, very intriguing roster. Mine is actually very much thrown off, but I think still fits in this conversation. But injuries have altered what this roster looks like. Although, to be fair, there is not an official roster release as I have yet seen on this team's website. But the AAA Las Vegas Aviators, now the affiliate of the Oakland Athletics, are opening up a ballpark that, by all indications, may be the new crown jewel of the minor leagues, which this is a plug. If you need to smile on Twitter during baseball season, you can follow Finn the Bat Dog, who works at Vegas games. Finn is adorable, but Finn got a chance to check out the ballpark yesterday and called it the Taj Mahal. So it's amazing. That's not why they're the most intriguing team to me. Two guys who are not yet on that roster, but should be at some point, hopefully very soon for one of them, and by June is what I've heard from the Athletics for the other, are lefties Jesus Luzardo and AJ Puck. AJ Puck obviously is coming back from Tommy John surgery last year. They're going to be fine to be cautious with him and making his return to being on a mound. Ed Sprague is the coordinator of instruction in that system, told me when I was in Arizona last month. It'll probably be a case where he's working in extended spring training games and then starts getting himself ramped up May and into June to rejoin an affiliate. AJ Puck, people kind of have forgotten that in the spring of 2018, there was some discussion as to whether or not AJ Puck could break camp with Oakland, making it onto the major league roster out of camp, and then he suffers the UCL tear, undergoes Tommy John surgery. He'll be back at some point this year. Jesus Luzardo looked like he was a shoo-in to be on that roster for Vegas to open this season. He's been shut down with a shoulder strain. Not entirely sure how long that's going to take for him to get back onto the field, onto a mound. Hopefully it won't be anything too extensive, but obviously, especially with shoulder injuries and with young pitchers, you want to be super careful with that. What makes this going from an interesting roster to one of the most interesting rosters to me, those guys, when they get there, they'll be paired with Sean Murphy, who's the top catching prospect in the Oakland organization and is one of the top catching prospects in baseball. A fantastic receiver, a fantastic arm, a guy who seems like he's gotten his bat figured out. He has suffered broken hamate bones in both hands over the course of his career, including one last season when he missed about 7 weeks, but he returned, made it up to AAA by the end of the year. And for those guys to be working with him, I think is tremendously exciting. And not only them, but there are some other names on this roster that are guys that you really wonder what you're going to be getting when you eventually see them, or guys who are at that stage where maybe they could finally make that jump. And I'll give you some names that are out there. One who I don't anticipate we'll see anytime soon, but maybe at some point at AAA, and he's actually listed on this roster right now, but he's not going to be active come opening day. James Kaprelian, who the A's acquired from the New York Yankees and have yet to actually see in a professional game in an A's uniform. He pitched in the Arizona Fall League as a prospect in that organization, but he has been so derailed by injuries. He looked really good in Instructs, apparently 2018 into 2019, but came into spring training, had a little bit of a setback with the shoulder. He hasn't been getting his regular work in. At some point, hopefully, he's going to be healthy and be on that roster. On the position player side, Franklin Barreto is back there. We heard so much about Franklin Barreto for so long, or at least he's listed on that roster right now. And again, this is all subject to change with how things move and maneuver so quickly early on in the major league seasons, but he's still only 23. Jorge Mateo and Sheldon Noisy, which, by the way, if you've looked at Sheldon's last name and wondered, how do you say that? Noisy, Neuse. Those two guys will be on the left side of the infield. Can Jorge Mateo finally hit enough to make it into the major leagues? as a regular there. The A's were really impressed with what he did during the spring. Sheldon Noisy obviously is blocked at third base by Matt Chapman in Oakland, but he's going to get some work elsewhere around the diamond and maybe even into the outfield. And then even in the outfield for this Las Vegas team, Sky Bolt could be there. Dustin Fowler, another guy who kind of has fallen into that realm of what do we really have here. There's just a lot of really, really interesting guys on that roster. And if you're a Las Vegas baseball fan, you get to open up this new ballpark. You get some really, really good talent coming through, and you get to be part of a fun organization in the Oakland Athletics. So that's what I've got for most interesting team for 2019. We have
A's fans.
Yes, Josh.
Sorry, I didn't. But for A's fans in the in the Bay Area, that's exciting too, to be able to.
Right.
Oh, hey, let's go to Las Vegas this weekend and check out their new ballpark and see this team that's a really exciting team.
And I know the organization is thrilled about it because you get a lot more direct flights and things like that make travel in the PCL easier. So it's going to be a really interesting marriage there in Vegas. Vegas joke. Biggest breakout prospect in 2019. We're already a week into the Major League season, and we have seen a whole bunch of prospects already making their names at the big league level. But at the minor league level, we will see those guys as well. Sam, who is your biggest breakout prospect in the game this year at the minor league side?
Yeah, so one I have is kind of me just betting on tools. And I think that's the best thing we can do at this point is just know what we have. And this is a system, again, that just really knows how to develop guys with tools. And this is in the Angels system. This is Jordan Adams. Their first-round pick last year, they took him with the 17th overall pick. There was some question with him about, he had a commitment to go to University of North Carolina, where I believe his dad is on the football staff as a coach there. He was going to play football and baseball, make that work, a real opportunity there at a good school, good programs on both sides there. But the Angels talk him out of that, obviously taking with the 17th overall pick. This is a guy who can really run. He's got an 80-run tool right now. That's going to really work in the outfield and center field. He can be a plus fielder out there. Just needs to really learn how to hit. But if he can do that, and I think, it is going to be a bit of a process, but if he can put together, a decent season this year, show that the tools are there offensively, he's going to plug right into a system that is developing guys like Joe Adell, Brandon Marsh, we talked about. Jahmai Jones used to be an outfielder. We forget about that. They moved him out of the outfield because they had too many outfield prospects. Now he's a second baseman.
Which is kind of his natural position that he's gone back to.
Right. So, this is a system that knows what to do with these guys. Plug Jordan Adams in there, and he is on the roster for the Burlington Bees to start out the season. So he will be going April to September, hopefully, barring health. He did have a health scare last year when he got involved in a collision in the outfield, but hopefully that's past him. Guys with 80 speed, they're going to stand out. They're going to start climbing. We've seen, Victor Robles do that, some other really fast guys, Vidal Brujan, really fast. If they can show any type of offensive skills, and I think Adams can, you just have to know what you're building here. We saw Joe Adell climb 3 levels last year, and I'm not going to put Adams in Adell's class right now. But the Angels have the playbook. They just need to put it into Adams's hands, and I think if he does that, he could be maybe a top 50 overall prospect by the end of the year. I'm not predicting a breakout like we saw out of somebody like Wander Franco or Alex Kirilloff. Trying to make that big of a assumption is a little out of my purview right now. But Adams has the tools to make everything else happen, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye on him, as I think everybody should, not just in Angels, fans of the Angels system, but everywhere, because he could really, really take off here quickly.
Yeah, I was about to feel a little bad for picking a first-round pick as a breakout prospect, but if Sam's going to do it, I have no
I would say just anybody outside the top 100 right now.
All right.
Or even if they're in.
So I actually, it gets weirder, though, because my pick is a former top 100 prospect. I think it's time for Mickey Moniak to come back to us.
Okay.
Yes, obviously
a re-break.
First rounder for the Phillies. Yeah, exactly. He's breaking on back. I know, yes, you look at him, he's a career 258 hitter with a 301 on-base percentage. But last year in the Florida State League with Clearwater, part of the way through July, he started hitting. He started getting on base more. He started picking it up. And so in his final 36 games with Clearwater, he hit .324 with .355 on base percentage. And again, that's in a hitter-friendly or pitcher-friendly league, the Florida State League. And so I don't know if it was the pressure of being a first-round pick and just not performing was bad, especially a first-round pick out of high school. If that started to wear off, as the limelight started dimming on him. But he finally settled in last year, and I think that he could get off to a pretty good start with Reading, or maybe like a pretty good May, and then go from there. He was a first-round pick for a reason, and I guess I still have hope that he can come back and show the Phillies that, he was worth it. And again, he's with Reading this year, which is one of the slightly better hitter-friendly parks, and the Eastern League is a slightly better Eastern League or hitter-friendly league. So yeah, I think Mickey Moniak could make a comeback and break out.
One thing I will say that I just found out actually while you were talking about this, because I want to look up some Mickey Moniak stuff. Mickey Moniak's first name is actually MacKenzie.
It's true, and I realized that while Sam was talking to MacKenzie Gore. So
right.
It's like maybe some of that will rub off.
That's what I was going to get at next. Is MacKenzie Gore is our guest this week, as you've probably seen on the show page. And one thing he talked about in our interview was that, this time last year, he was the third overall pick coming into the year, felt a lot of pressure. This spring, he doesn't feel it anymore. Things have kind of backed off a little bit. He feels a little easier. Time will tell whether that improves things. But Moniak, I think that's fully worn off now. We don't talk about him as number one overall pick. He's got to perform.
Easily passed him.
He's now kind of, like you said, looked past and kind of shunted off to one side. Mm-hmm. If he starts hitting in Reading, like many people have done in the past, we're going to have to start talking about him again. That's all I'm saying. So
yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, you said it first. Josh, who do you got?
Well, so I've got a traditional pick and an outside the box pick for you. I'll be speedy though. The traditional pick, I think Victor Mesa, who defected from Cuba last spring and signed with the Marlins in the fall. He's somebody, I think he is in the top 100, but he's not somebody whose name a lot of people know, and I think we will be saying his name a lot more. His best tools are speed and defense, so that doesn't make him like a real obvious conversation flashpoint or somebody that would say, oh, look out for him that much. But I think he's probably going to outperform the Florida State League, where he's starting pretty quickly and make some noise. And my outside the box pick, I've got a duo for you. The young San Diego Padres prospects Gabriel Arias and Estuary Ruiz they're middle infielders, with Arias at shortstop and Ruiz at second base, and they're playing together in Lake Elsinore. And I think, in the Padres system, period, it's hard to get much buzz or attention if you're not, a Tatis or a MacKenzie Gore, or a Chris Paddock. But this is a really exciting young duo. They're both really strong defenders in the middle. Each of them struck out a ton last year in the Midwest League. So Arias struck out 149 times in 124 games. That's a ton. And similar, 141 times in 117 games for Ruiz. But neither of them is older than 20. I think that, Arias won't even turn 20 this calendar year. So I think that could just be kind of, a natural learning curve for them, and they both have the potential to really put up some nice offensive numbers, and they did, even with striking out that much. They both performed pretty well. Arias 27 doubles in the Midwest League, and Ruiz stole an insane amount of bases, and that number is 49. 49 bases, having only gotten on base, like a little better than 32% of the time in 117 games. So those two are electric and exciting, and we should look for them to break out with the Storm.
Middle infield duos that play together climbing up in an organization. Like, you need more of those, San Diego. Thank you. I am going to go. Josh went with Victor Mesa, who was in the back end of the top 100 at number 97. Number 96 is my pick, so sorry I broke the no top 100 prospect rule. But it comes with a caveat because he starts the season on the injured list with a little bit of elbow soreness. But 18-year-old Toronto Blue Jays right-hander Eric Pardino has all the tools to be a dude. And he last season made 11 starts with the Bluefield Blue Jays in the rookie-level Appalachian League, 4-3 record and a 2.88 ERA there. 64 strikeouts against 16 walks and 50 innings. So often with these young guys who you see who have electric stuff, the command is the last thing to arrive. Doesn't seem to be the case for him. Eric Pardino, you might remember the story. He pitched as a 15-year-old in the World Baseball Classic qualifiers back in 2016. He's from Brazil, pitched against Pakistan, and he signed with the Blue Jays during the 2017-2018 international period. His start to his professional career, extremely impressive. The thing that really excites people about him is the fact that he has that feel for pitching. The stuff is obviously very good. He's got a 60-grade fastball, 60-grade curveball. But when you're 18 years old, and he just turned 18 in January, when you're 18 and you already have feel and you have command, you're going to grow into your body. He's listed at 5'10", 155, so obviously that's going to develop, which means probably increased velocity. There's a lot to really be excited about with Eric Pardino. Now, all that being said, he has experienced some soreness in his pitching elbow. The Blue Jays have said there's nothing really to be worried about with that. They're going to be cautious with him. But this is a dude who pitched last season, making his stateside debut at 17. He kind of reminds me, at least in the very early stages of his career, of somebody like Julio Urias, who's up with the Dodgers now. And Urias obviously made the climb to the Midwest League, I think at 17. I think he got his first full season look at 17 years old. So Pardino's a little bit older than that, which is insane to think about. But someone who has the ability to really climb quickly. His Twitter handle does not say the teenager in it, so it's kind of confusing. But he's still somebody to really keep an eye on in that Blue Jays organization. So if you're a Jays fan who knows how much talent you've got at the upper levels of the minors, still got some good stuff at the lower levels of the minors as well. Rookies of the year in the American and National Leagues. I think I've gotten these wrong every single year that we've done them, so let's do them for 2019. Sam, who you got?
Yeah, again, I just bet on tools here, and there's lots of cases to be made of like, oh, if things break right, this guy can do it, or if things break right, this guy can do it. I'm just going to go chalk. I wrote a little bit about this, about trying to assume who's going to be the Rookie of the Year leaders. I think, the AL, it's going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm sure that's a name that's going to come up a bunch. Guy can hit a ton, not worried about the oblique injury to begin the year. He's not going to be in Buffalo for very long. He'll be up in Toronto by the end of April, and I expect him to make up some ground against even Eloy Jimenez, who obviously is getting a head start on Vlad. Vlad's going to hit enough. He's going to show enough tape measure power. He's probably going to hit around 300 for the Blue Jays. Not worried about the defense overly sapping some of his value. He's going to be one of the stories of the summer. He's my pick in the AL for obvious reasons. In the NL, when I wrote that story, nobody knew that Fernando Tatis Jr. was actually going to break with San Diego. That was a little bit of a shock. But I'm still going to stick by my guns and say Victor Robles, because in modern times, right now, a lot of people look to WAR for these awards. Like who has the highest WAR? What? Are you matching awards? And
when you said they look to WAR, I was like, as an analogy,
sounded like things were going to get
battles.
dark.
I was like, what's happening? San Diego does have a big military base.
They look to wins above replacement.
All right.
And I think Robles just has all those pieces of his game that work really well for WAR. He's going to do really well on the bases. He's going to do really well on the field. I think he's going to hit enough. The Nats think he's going to start developing some power. I think we're seeing a little bit of that in the first week. We're also seeing, that he's still a young player. He's made some mistakes, but he's going to get a ton of run in that center field spot. There's a lot of value to be made if you are playing a premium position. Not that Tatis Jr. isn't going to have a lot of value as well as a shortstop, but
I just think Robles having a little bit of major league experience is going to help him out this year. I still think Tatis is the better player long term, but for this year and this year only, I think Robles, with a combination of being on a good team with the Nats, I think that kind of pushes him over Tatis for this year. So I got Vlad in the AL, Victor Robles in the NL.
I mean, those are good, and they're chalk for a reason. They probably will end up winning, but I decided to go slightly outside the box just to mix it up so we do have more guys to talk about. And I picked Eloy with the White Sox. Just because my first thought was if Vlad hits 300 with 20 homers, I think we'll be disappointed. Like, that's kind of a quiet year for Vlad.
That's true, yeah.
So, like, I think the expectations are really high for Vlad. I mean, yeah, it's still a great rookie campaign, but is it a great Vlad campaign? But so, yeah, I think Eloy, I mean, it's hard to judge so far. He's off to a little bit of a quiet start, but he did really well last year as he advanced from Birmingham and Charlotte. He has that raw power. He has above average hit tool. Plus, he has that contract and the money wrapped up. So I don't know how many guys are really thinking about that their first year, but I think that's good to not have that matter and just to play ball. So I'm feeling good about Eloy. And then on the National League side, Robles, again, he probably will end up winning, though people are a little nervous about his defense so far the past week. But I decided to go with Pete Alonso. I just think he's such an exciting, fun player. Again, as Sam mentioned, Robles and Tatis will probably end up being the better prospects overall and the better players in the next 15 years. But I think Pete Alonso, when he launches the ball, it's just so exciting. He won the Bauman last year for most home runs and RBIs in the minors. And we've already seen his first home run with the Mets, and I think he'll just keep going. I mean, I know the Dominic Smith situation will take a little toll, but I think that he could overpower him and just take over that role in that first base spot. And I was looking at Sam's article about how a lot of the last rookies of the year were top 4 prospects usually, but then you got guys like Aaron Judge or Michael Fulmer who were more of number 45 or number 53 overall pick or overall prospect, and Alonso's number 50, so he fits right in with those guys.
Josh, fire away.
All right. Oh, okay. So I was feeling a little iconoclastic here. I'm making some wild predictions. Luzardo is going to be the AL Rookie of the Year. He's going to get healthy.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be in the majors by the end of June-ish is my prediction, and he's just going to blow people's minds the way he has pretty much at every minor league level he stopped at. From then through the end of the season, and people are he's just gonna impress everyone so much that being there for that shorter realm won't really matter because it will have been such a phenomenal splash that he'll have made in the American League. Now, Tyler, did you? I guess I can't ask, but if you didn't pick Tatis, then I regret not going with Tatis because I didn't pick him because I thought 3
Don't
people
worry,
would.
I did.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Good. So, even further on a limb, I'm picking two pitchers. A year with 2 pitchers as Rookie of the Year, and Paddock is my pick. He's somewhat like Luzardo. Last year was a year where everybody was somewhat excited about him, and then he just blew people away. Just really impressed people and pitched really well everywhere he went. He did that this spring even to get to San Diego, and he's looked pretty sharp while he's there. I think it's going to be a special year for him.
This is going to come as a big surprise to everybody, but my National League pick is Fernando Tatis Jr.
Whoa!
Unbelievable,
Oh
right? Craziness. I've been on the Tatis bandwagon for a long time, ever since I interviewed him after he hit for the cycle and had an inside the park homer for Fort Wayne, and told me that when he saw his third base coach waving him home, he was really annoyed by it because he was so tired. I love Fernando Tatis. He's great, and I mean already obviously the things that he's done in his first few days up at the major league level with San Diego have been pretty impressive. And nobody went with Eloy, right?
I did.
Kelsie did.
Oh, Oh, Kelsie did. I was off.
Thanks for listening, Tyler.
I was off reading about other prospects. Okay, then I'm gonna go. I had an alternate. Don't worry, and I'm gonna go the crazy Josh Jackson route. And I'm gonna say Forrest Whitley.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
And I think last year, especially with the suspension and only getting 8 games in, Forrest went to the Arizona Fall League. He struck out everybody he saw basically in the AFL. He goes 93 to 98 with a fastball, the curveball, the slider, the changeup. They're all plus pitches for him. He's going to start at Round Rock, as we talked about a little while ago. But I just think he's too good. Kyle Tucker got the cup of coffee last year, and obviously he finds himself back in AAA this year. The Astros have some depth, and they like where they are in the outfield right now. So Kyle Tucker, I think he's going to be there eventually, obviously, especially showing as he has that he's, pretty well conquered AAA pitching. Last year he had 332 at AAA with a 989 OPS. But I just think Forrest Whitley, when you have that ceiling, when you have that skill set, as a starting pitcher, you can force your way into the rotation because organizations want that. They want that frontline stuff as quickly as they can get it. So that'll be my surprise pick. And also, it goes to show that I can't just daydream and read about the random back end prospects. And I was reading about JB Bukauskas. Okay, so I didn't hear you guys were picking. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about him. He was a first rounder in 2017. So those are our picks for the Rookies of the Year, American and National League. And now we come to the Josh Jackson category, the Joe Bauman Home Run Award winner. And Josh is already fomenting some brilliant selection that will turn itself into a feature come the offseason 2019 into 2020. But Sam, we will start with you.
I feel like I'm taking the rug out from both of you on this one a little bit. My pick is somebody who is going to play in the same park that Casey Golden played in that year.
Oh, okay.
So
you may well be then.
Yeah, again, I want to give my pick the biggest chance to win this award, and this is somebody who's going to play at Class A Asheville to start the season. Asheville is a great hitter's park. If he does well there, he'll get moved to Class A Advanced Lancaster, which is maybe the most notorious hitter-friendly park in all the minors. Carry the ball or carry his hot bat anywhere in the Rocky system is going to be a good bet. My pick is Grant Levine, the 42nd overall pick last year, taken out of New Hampshire. I did a story on him this year. Really, really like him as a hitter. The Rockies obviously do as well. They sent him to Grand Junction last year. Saw him hit 350 with a 477 477 OBP. Excuse me. He walked 45 times. Only struck out 40, had a 996 OPS, only hit 6 homers.
By the way, did not win the batting title in that league.
Right. Yeah, by the way. It says a lot about the Pioneer League, I think. But, only hit 6 homers in 59 games. That's not exactly going to project itself to, a Bauman Award winner. That said, you put him in Asheville, give him a full offseason to prepare, you give him more time with Rockies hitting coaches, and he's going to be playing first base. MLB.com has him as the 7th best first base prospect right now. They're going to try to develop him as a power hitter. You get him playing every day in a way he couldn't really in New Hampshire. I think he's going to warm up and just absolutely take off. And trying to predict like somebody like Pete Alonso, who who had the power but wasn't necessarily playing in some of these environments until he got moved to Las Vegas. I think Levine's going to have a chance everywhere he goes to show off some pop. He's going to have incentive to do that. Coming into his first full season, trying to show some people what he is capable of. 47 overall pick is a good selection, but there are still 41 people taking him in front of you. The Rockies obviously do a good job. They did this with Casey Golden last year of developing power hitters when they get their chance. Levine just has so many chances and so many opportunities to do well and show off in his first taste of full season ball. So he's my pick. There's a decent chance he does everything well this year except for hit for power. He hits 15 homers and hits 320 between Asheville and Lancaster. But I'm betting on the power here. I think he's going to walk away as the Bauman Home Run Award winner.
Nice thing about the Rocky system is the Coors meme applies every level on the way down.
Yeah, even Hartford.
which
Great.
is,
Yeah, even Hartford.
it doesn't seem like, Hartford, the Connecticut mountains that they're going to be playing in. But that is a little bit of a
All
bump.
flies there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is. It's kind of an
They
offensive
built
team.
that into like a city block, and it just it shortens up some of the fences there to the point where guys can really hit for power. So I'm not saying Levine's going to make it to Hartford, but it is kind of interesting.
The ball just has that extra energy from all that coffee.
Yeah, it is Dunkin' Donuts Park, yeah.
But yeah, so Sam mentioned that there were 41 guys taken before Grant Levine. So I have the guy that was taken 40 picks before him, and Joey Bart, the number 2 overall draft pick last year from the Giants. Plus power. He slugged .613. It was Salem Kaiser last year. And instead of going to Class A, he's going to the California League, to San Jose, where he will play some games at Lancaster. So thank you for mentioning how great of a ballpark that is, because Joey Bart gets to play there. I don't know, yeah. Like I said, he hit 13 homers in 45 games last year. He hit 30 homers in 141 career games with Georgia Tech. Obviously, it's a different ball game, literally. But I think that will translate well, and I'm really excited to see what he does in such a hitter-friendly league that is the California League. So, yeah, I mean, he's a catcher, so obviously he's not going to be playing as much as a first baseman or a third baseman, but I think he'll make up for that because he is such an exciting bat.
I like that pick, Kelsie.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you both for mentioning Lancaster being such a great hitter's park, because do you know who is going there?
I knew we were headed this way.
No, don't you do it. Don't you do it, Jackson.
He's doing it.
I can't not do it. Why? How would... Casey Golden has been very good to me. He's given me months of hounding and boasting to Tyler, and I'd like him to just extend this relationship we have by going out there and winning a Bauman Award, taking the 34 home runs he hit in the South Atlantic League last year, where say what you want about McCormick Field, there's some heavy air down there, isn't there, in the South Atlantic League? He's coming to the California League to play in the home park of Lancaster, where, like, if you wear a hat in the stands, it can blow over the fence. And where the whole league pretty much is great for hitters. I can't not pick Casey Golden again.
All right. If you didn't do it, I was going to do it, by the way, just to round out this selection committee by making sure that Casey Golden, we're just going to include in this every year until he makes his graduation to the major leagues. He's going to be somebody's pick.
Or until he wins it this year.
Right. Well, that too. He is to you what MacKenzie Gore is to Jim Callis on the Pipeline podcast, and they finally met. You have never actually met Casey Golden, correct?
Not that I don't think so. I don't think I've
this
even
year,
talked to him on the phone.
Now you're going to have to go to a Cal League game and introduce yourself as number 1 Casey Golden
true.
fan, Josh Jackson. Get a
It's
customized Jethawks
Casey,
Golden
your mother
jersey.
and I have a lot in common.
We're big fans of your work. I'm going to go with my theme, apparently, for this show is going with guys who are injured to start the year. Alex Kirilloff is currently out, according to one Sam Dykstra of MILB.com. He'll open the year on the injured list, sustained a wrist injury late in spring training, but should get back on the field sometime in late April. Alex Kirilloff last year at 20 combined home runs in 130 games between Cedar Rapids and Fort Myers in the Twins organization. He's just 21, continues developing the power. I like Alex Kirilloff. I like him a lot. He and Royce Lewis are one of the most entertaining prospect tandems in all of the minor leagues. And so eventually when he gets back on the field, I like me some Alex Kirilloff. If not for him, probably Kyle Tucker, because I feel like somehow he's going to end up getting jobbed into spending most of the season in AAA this year. So
that would be so tragic, wouldn't it?
It would be terrible. It would be terrible.
I mean, not tragic. It's fine for him. It's fine, but yeah.
If I could throw out one other name, this won't be my pick. I feel like people should know about this guy going into the season, and he didn't fit any of our other categories really. Nolan Gorman.
Nolan Gorman.
Norman.
Yeah, Storman
Storman.
Gorman.
It's a Storming Gorman. It's a Missouri thing.
Okay. Anyway, 19th overall pick last year. He was somebody who showed a lot of power on the showcase circuit and then carried that extremely well to the minor leagues last year. The guy hit 17 home runs in 63 games, and that was after a high school season. He had never seen pro ball like that, and to show off power that quickly was really fascinating. They let him see Peoria at the end of the year. He got 25 games there. He's starting out this season at Peoria again, so it's not like, he has to adjust to the league, adjust to the setting. He's already been there. I could see him popping off. The only thing that's going to hold him off, if we're talking about ballpark factors, if he does well at Peoria, he's going to be going to the FSL, which we've already said is a pitcher-friendly league. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to win a Bauman Award down there. But if anybody can hit tape measure shots and kind of be the next Joey Gallo-esque hitter, I would think Nolan Gorman deserves a shout-out in that way.
I've got another guy who is in that conversation as well, and I probably would have made him my pick if I was confident that he was going to have enough success to stick at the full season level for the entire year. And he may. He's on the roster of the Greenville Drive to start the season. But Tristan Casas, who was the Boston Red Sox first-round pick last year, 26th overall, he was a USA Baseball teammate of Nolan Gorman at the World Cup a couple of years ago for the 18 and under team. His power, he was probably the best power prospect in the draft last year, but he only played 2 games in the Gulf Coast League. He got hurt diving for a ball and ended up missing the rest of the season. He's apparently on Greenville's roster to begin the year. If he starts slowly, he's only 19, coming off of an injury. You wonder if maybe he gets pulled back. So that's one of those guys who could also be in that conversation, but there's some really cool power prospects lower on the ladder, and we've talked about this so much on the show over the years. That's usually the last thing to come along for hitting prospects. I remember us talking about that with Dominic Smith, because Dom Smith didn't hit for power hardly at all throughout the lower levels of his minor league career and then really started to develop it. So for the guys who can already do that at the lower levels of the minors, like, say Casey Golden last year with Class A.
Who's that?
They're really fun prospects, so keep an eye on them. And our final prediction for the opening day Megacast in 2019, the top overall prospect for opening day 2020. Last year kind of seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that Vlad would be the guy in 2019. Going into 2020 is kind of a wide open field, so let's hear it.
Yeah, so for me, this guy kind of feels like the next Vlad in this way. He's ranked 13 right now, but I think everybody kind of knows if he can just do it for a full season, he will be at least a top 5 overall prospect by the middle of the season. My pick is Wander Franco, who just absolutely tore up last year. Rookie, advanced Princeton. Switch hitting shortstop, just turned 18 on March 1st. They're giving him the bump to Class A Bowling Green to start the year, which is really, really neat and exciting. Shows a lot of, they're not comparable players by. Franco is a shortstop. Vlad is a third baseman. But in terms of the tendencies that we like to see at the lower levels, both of the things that are really, really interesting. Franco last year walked 27 times, only struck out 19. So that's something that we saw over from Vlad the first couple of years. Still see it now, that really, really good control of the strike zone, the ability to put the ball in play but still take your walks. He hits for a high average. He batted .351 last year. Hits for power, which is not something you always see from young shortstops. Hit 11 home runs with a .587 slugging percentage. Puts it all together. His OPS was 1.004. Again, if he can do that at Bowling Green, if he can do that from April to September, we're going to be talking about him as the game's next great talent, not just somebody who's like, we need to see it from him. We saw it from him last year. I got to see it from him this spring. I got to see a couple at-bats from him. He was just putting the ball wherever he wanted it, which is really neat. And he does it with confidence. And the Rays are confident in him, and they're just trying to find the right challenges for him. Once they start using that language of, he's going to tell us when we need to move him. No, they're talking about, hey, we need to find ways to push him. We need to find ways to make him the best player possible. They know what they have in him. And I think, they're some of the guys higher up from him. I mean, Vlad's going to graduate. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to graduate. Eloy Jimenez is going to graduate. Victor Robles is going to graduate. Nick Senzel will probably graduate. Forrest Whitley. There are a lot of people above him in those 12 spots that I don't think are going to be prospects anymore. So then we get to talk about him versus maybe a Royce Lewis, maybe an Alex Kirilloff. But again, I think Wander Franco is just too tooled up to hold him down and put him lower than those guys. The only thing against him is that he needs to do it over a bigger sample, and he'll get that this summer.
Yeah, like Sam mentioned, the way I see it, 8 of the top 15 will probably lose their rookie status this year. Potentially Whitley and Luzardo if you're feeling lucky like Tyler.
Josh.
Sorry, it was Josh.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to Tyler clearly, but
I'm with him on that one.
Exactly, but so yeah, that's 10 of the 15 that could be gone, which leaves Royce Lewis, Alex Kirilloff, Wander Franco, and Joe Adell of the 15 that we're looking at. And so while, yes, I think that Wander Franco has a pretty bright future, and he's clearly highly touted by us and Pipeline, I'm going with Alex Kirilloff. I was just so amazed by him last year. He hit 348. I don't know if he can necessarily do that again, but a lot of people consider him to be the second best hitter in the minors behind Vlad, which means he's the best active hitter in the minors is exactly what that means. Well, I guess he's also injured, but with that wrist injury, but it shouldn't keep him out for long. I just think that he's such an exciting player. He just does it with both the power and the average and consistently. And again, he did that starting out in the Florida State League last year. The second half was in the Florida State League, the pitcher friendly. And now he'll be with Pensacola, and I think he'll just keep going and climbing through the system.
I'm with you, Kelsie. That's my pick also. And it's just because he's shown such an incredible ability to hit, to just rake. He hits for average, he hits for power. He has pretty good control of and exhibits, pretty good control or knowledge of the strike zone and what to do in an at bat and what they're trying to do to him. For a guy who's hitting 20 home runs, he's not striking out that much. And I think that bat is good enough and going to sort of prove good enough over the course of this year to vault him even over Lewis, who's, who's very toolsy and a great player, but in the more valuable position. I just think that, Kirilloff continues on the trajectory he's on. He's going to be the best prospect in baseball.
I like it. Those are good. Those are good picks. I'm going to go a little bit crazy with it. I think it's probably going to be Wander Franco, but I'm going to put my money on MacKenzie Gore, and by that I mean I won't put my money on it because I don't bet because I'm a sports journalist. And I apologize for misleading you by saying that. MacKenzie Gore, though, drafted in the first round back in 2017, we have only seen 23 starts from MacKenzie Gore in his professional career. Last year, 16 games for Fort Wayne. His overall numbers were not that impressive. A 4.45 ERA, a whip of 1.302, struck out 74 and 60 and 2/3. That was great, but he gave up more than a hit an inning, 61 and 60 and 2/3. Like, his numbers have not been that great, and still, he has climbed basically every season since he has been in the prospect ranking since he was drafted a couple of years ago. So I feel like prospect evaluators are so high on what he is able to do when he's healthy and he's out there. This year, I think maybe I should have picked him as a breakout prospect, but he's 15th overall, so there's not really much of a breakout there. But we just haven't seen, his debut season, he was fantastic, but that was with rookie level, the AZL Padres in the rookie level Arizona League. You had 7 starts in that season. He struck out 34 and 21 and a third. But it's just been such a limited sample size, and he has continued to climb that I feel like this year, if he puts together, especially being in Lake Elsinore, which is one of the very few somewhat pitcher-friendly ballparks in the California League, if he can do things in Lake Elsinore that really feel like, oh, this is what we've been expecting from MacKenzie Gore for this long, then I think maybe he vaults over a bunch of guys and finds himself in that top spot. I think it's probably going to end up being Wander Franco, but I'm going to go with MacKenzie Gore.
And Tyler, you know what that does?
What?
Kirsten?
That segues incredibly well into our interview segment this week.
Does it? Huh. Who do we have this week?
We have MacKenzie Gore.
Oh my goodness! I did not even think of that. I really did not. I didn't plan that at all. But I totally planned it. That's podcasting magic. Radio is back, as Conan O'Brien says. Good segue.
Synergy again. No, so that wraps up. I think. Does anybody else have anything else to say before I introduce MacKenzie Gore?
Josh Jackson, the official fan club president of the Casey Golden Club in Lancaster this year. You can get in touch with him if you need your T-shirts. I think that's all.
Yeah.
I will say I was thinking about Joe Adell a little bit, but he is going to be out for 10 to 12 weeks, and Pipeline has shown that they will drop you a little bit if you fall. Like Dane Dunning, recently, fell a lot in the rankings because he's having Tommy John, and I think Hunter Green did too. Or it might have slipped. But, these are not the Byron Buxton Pipeline years. They're not going to leave you up there if you are out for a while. So I think Joe Adell will move up, obviously, as all those guys leave, but I don't think he'll be as high as he would have been if he wasn't going to be out for 3 months.
It's good stuff. Good stuff from all you guys. Thanks for joining us for the opening day Megacast, as always. We've got more to come on the show today. MacKenzie Gore will join us next. Benjamin Hill will join us following that. And a big thanks to Josh and Kelsie, as always. Sam, I'm not going to thank you. I have to talk to you every week.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
MacKenzie Gore next.
Very grateful this week to be joined by number 15 overall prospect, Padres left-hander MacKenzie Gore, the day before minor league opening night. MacKenzie, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Yep, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So, we found out just the last couple of days where you'll be starting the season. You'll be starting it in the California League with Class A Advanced Lake Elsinore. What are you expecting out of that experience? What have you been told about what it's like to play at Lake Elsinore?
Obviously, it's been known to be a hitter's league, but I'm just excited. I'm a step closer and ready to get people out.
Yeah, and one thing about playing at Lake Elsinore, you mentioned there, it being the California League. Do the Padres, I know it's early, but do the Padres give you any tips about what it's like to pitch at places like, Lancaster or some of these really extreme hitters parks?
Yeah, they talk about it, but it's just something you really focus on when you get there. So.
And take us through this spring. This is the second time you've been through spring training. What was it like going through that a second time? Did expectations kind of change having been through this before?
Yeah, it's different. A lot more comfortable and stuff like that. But it was a healthy spring, so that was smooth, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So now that you were healthy throughout the spring, what were you able to focus on? What were you really keying on? For, like you said, all you're trying to do is get outs this year. What do you think is going to help you take that next step?
Just being able to work on the craft now and not get asked, "Are you okay?" when you get done throwing, and you just go talk about baseball. So.
Right, and in terms of your package of pitches, that's one of the things that makes you one of the most exciting left-handers in all of minor league baseball. What were you focusing on in terms of harnessing your stuff and making that a little bit sharper?
Just going into camp, I wanted to go in the right direction, and then I wanted it to all come together by the last start of camp. So I thought I did a pretty good job of that, just really commanding all 4 pitches, and I'm in a good spot right now.
And so you mentioned injuries and dealing with that last year. 2018 was meant to be your first full season. Didn't quite work out that way. You only ended up making 16 starts for Fort Wayne last year mostly because of blisters. What was it like going through that season and it not being necessarily, other issues that we talk about with pitchers, and blisters are just annoying. But what do you do when you're going through that process, and how do you kind of fix that issue for the future?
It was tough, but it was something that I've learned from. I've grown from it. I know how to handle adversity a little better now. So it's weird how little things like that can happen and kind of humble you a little bit, but it was good for me.
Yeah, and when you say it humbled you a little bit, how did it do that? How did that manifest itself?
Last year at this time, I was, all of the noise, the hype, and kind of got to get you back on your feet. So, you know, you're not even close to where you need to be, and it was good.
Yeah, so what was that like last spring? Going into that, you were third overall pick in 2017, Gatorade National Player of the Year, going into a system obviously that there is so much attention on the prospects. What was it about that last spring? I know you mentioned being healthy this time was better, but what was it like? How did that hype kind of manifest itself and come back to you?
I mean, it wasn't really the fact that I got caught up in a lot of the hype. It was just that it was always around. Like you said, a lot of stuff is on the prospects here, and I just thought I was like, I'm really good, and then by the end of the year, everything had the light wasn't really on me, and it was good to kind of get away and just be able to get some work in with not everything on you.
Yeah, what do you do to kind of escape that? I mean, so many prospects go through this, especially in today's culture where, obviously we're part of this. I get that, putting spotlights on young guys early. How do you kind of get away from the spotlight in that way and return to, who you were, back when you were in high school in North Carolina?
I mean, it's all good. Like, you appreciate it, what people say about you, and you just have to kind of ignore the noise and know what you need to do. Like, and if you don't just get caught up in it and you ignore it and you just work on your craft, and you'll be okay. And it's good for me to do it now. So, when I'm down the road, I'll know how to handle it. So.
Yeah, for sure. And is there anybody you talk to for this kind of stuff? I mean, that Padres system obviously loaded. Guys have gone through this before. What kind of support system do you guys have for, being in all this together and trying to work towards San Diego and build up the major league roster together?
A lot of support is great. And then the other thing is, we're really talented, so if you don't work hard and you think that where you need to be, you just get left behind. So.
Yeah, and take me through that Fort Wayne team last year that you guys were a part of. I saw one story recently talking about your friendship with Luis Patino. So many other guys on that roster. Ryan Weathers was up there at one point at the end of the year. What was that team like? And at one point, didn't you look around you and notice how much talent was there?
Yeah, there was a lot of talent. We didn't win as many baseball games as we probably could have, but it was kind of just part of the growing and getting older, and there's a lot of the same guys on this Lake Elsinore team, so it should be a lot of fun to see how much better everybody's got in a year.
And what's something you picked up from some other player and kind of implemented into your game? Something you saw last season and started to use this off season or something like that. What's something you've picked up from a teammate?
It's probably just the preparation. Like my Jefferson was really good at that. Being around Chris Paddock and guys like that in all season. Just the way they prepare, and they really focus on the little things, and the little things make the biggest difference. But
yeah, what's a little thing you're now focusing on that you weren't, this time last year?
Just having a plan, going to a bullpen, really focusing, when you're on the mound, and then just studying teams more and how to get people out when they get in the box.
And so you mentioned Chris Paddock in there as well. Chris Paddock obviously making his major league debut, doing really quite well in that. The Padres pushing up Fernando Tatis Jr. They seem to be all in right now in letting the young guys play. How much does that trickle down to you guys, at the lower levels, or even in spring training, at minor league camp, when you're seeing guys like Paddock, guys like Tatis, Mejia, Urias at one point, all getting looks? I mean, how much do you guys talk about that around the locker room?
It's good. Gets you excited. But then again, we just got to get out of A-ball first. So, but it means that you're not as far away as you think. And these guys played in A-ball not that long ago. So.
So does it make it easier to you envision that, or do you only focus on what your next start is in Lake Elsinore?
Yeah, so when you start looking ahead, that's when you get in trouble. I just kind of one day at a time. And if you take it one day at a time, I'll get better every day, and it'll be here sooner than later.
And one of the reasons why you were such a big prospect coming out of high school is your package of pitches. You mentioned having all 4 pitches on right now. What do you feel like is the pitch that's developed the best as a pro? Because having 4 above average pitches is not something that obviously every pitching prospect has. You're pretty much there right now. How do you feel like that's developed, or what is the pitch you feel like has developed the most from your days as a high schooler?
I would probably say the changeup has become a lot more consistent than it was. It was always arguably my best secondary, but I didn't have to throw it a lot. So it's something that I would go changeup on that.
And at what point do you realize that, hey, I am going to need to throw all 4 pitches? I mean, how quickly in your career was that a thing? Because like you said, high school, you could probably blow it past everybody with just your fastball. At one point did you realize I need to really deepen this arsenal?
Right when I got there, I always knew I was going to need it, so I always worked on it. But like that year in the ADL, I used all 4, and it was good.
And and one of the things that stands out, I think we've talked about this before in the past, is your delivery. One of the highest leg kicks currently in the game. How does that kind of set you up to find location? Because you have pretty good control for having that many moving parts. What was the development of your delivery?
It's really just something I've been doing since I was 13 years old. So it's different, but it's something I've been doing for 7 years now. So command is all about repeating your delivery, no matter what it looks like or what it is. If you can repeat your delivery, that's how you can command the baseball.
Was there some model you had for that? I mean, every kid likes seeing, I grew up wanting to throw like Pedro, so I tried to mimic his delivery. Was there somebody you were trying to mimic?
No, that's the weird part. I don't know how it happened. I was taught to throw the pocket, and it just kind of happened.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a Dontrell Willis type situation or anything like that. All right, so when you look forward to a 2019 season, I know health is a big thing for you, but how do you feel like you're going to best get back on track in terms of what a successful 2019 season would be? What would be your definition of that?
Just get a lot better and take it one day at a time.
So kind of in that way, I think the game is obviously evolving, and there's so many other stats out there and so many things that are given to you guys as minor leaguers. When you are looking at a start, what are the numbers you look at to define what is a good start?
First off, some innings. Starter's job is to go out there and just be efficient. So I don't need to be going out there and throwing 4 innings of 85 pitches or anything like that. Be efficient, go get people, and get them out early.
So are you somebody who cares about your strikeout numbers? I mean, you struck out 74 in 62 thirds innings last year. A lot of that speaks to your stuff, but when you talk about getting deep into games, sometimes that requires you to be a contact pitcher. Do you have a preference on what kind of style you pitch?
Strikeouts, they can add up to more pitches, but base runners are the ones that add up the pitch count. So walks and the long at bats, you punch people out, you go punch them out when you're ahead. So it's gonna be contact. You want to get early, weak contact, but if strikeouts come, then they come. You can't be able to do that sometimes.
And so when you guys are sitting around the locker room in Lake Elsinore, you're going to be fairly close to California, at least this time. Is that something that you guys talk about in terms of building the core right now and being the future of San Diego? Because of what the Padres are doing and the way they're building around you guys and the attention coming to you guys. How much of a part of the future do you feel like on an everyday basis?
Yeah, I mean, every day you do. It's a lot of responsibility because you can't take a day off, and you just got to work hard because they're dependent on you to, help the major league team here eventually win. So it brings some responsibility to us.
And just a couple more here to end on real quick. We talked earlier about the blisters and how that's kind of a humbling experience, but what do you do to prevent that type of thing? Because it's not like you can put on gloves or something. Like, as a golfer, you prevent blisters by wearing gloves more often. It's not something you can do as a pitcher. What preventative measures do you take to keep that from happening again in 2019?
We let it heal and just try to get the fingers just a little tougher, and we've done a good job of that as of right now, and just got to keep on doing that. Hopefully it won't come back.
So we'll end on this one. Tomorrow is opening night across minor league baseball. First day in a park, first day, with all the festivities going on. What is your pregame routine for the first day? How do you kind of celebrate that baseball is back?
Kind of get, early in the day you got to get the work in, and then you just enjoy the game and be into it whenever first pitch is.
So you don't have like a pregame soundtrack or something that really puts you in the mood?
Nah, I mean, on start day I'll listen to some music, but just kind of get your work in early, and then once first pitch starts, you're ready to go.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Given that, again, minor league opening night is tomorrow, Mackenzie's got to go get ready for the season. Mackenzie, thanks so much for joining us this week. All the best at Lake Elsinore and wherever else the 2019 season takes you. Thanks again for being here.
All right, thanks.
It is finally here, one of our most exciting segments with Benjamin Hill of the season, every season. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Tyler.
I was
and
going to
hello,
say the
Sam
2019
Dykstra.
season, but that doesn't make it every season is we're excited about this specific segment. So there. Which side is Sam sitting on?
He is sitting to my left. We're taping later than usual. It is 6:48 p.m. on Wednesday evening, and so it can be very difficult, as you know, to get a quiet space, to book a conference room in this crowded office. But today, when you're operating close to 7 o'clock, the world is yours. We're in this like cavernous, glassy, sunlit room, as if we were kings.
Yeah, we're essentially in the Grand Canyon of Chelsea Market right now.
Now I want somebody to send me a picture of this. Meaning one of
maybe we'll put a picture up on Twitter, and then people who are wondering about what we're talking about can see. Because I know people, they want to know the process, and they want to know, how the sausage gets made, so to speak. And right now, Sam, you're not hearing him talk because he has walked away and is taking a picture of me as I say these words.
Wow!
He just took a picture. So,
and if you're somebody who is looking at when Sam posts this, if you're looking at the tweet and listening to this podcast at the same time, I think that's what the kids call meta.
It is.
It's very meta.
It is very meta, and I never met a never. Let's keep going.
All right. Well, it is the promo preview, the inaugural promo preview of 2019. Ben has picked out 10 promotions that caught his eye on the initial promo releases for 2019, and let's get started. They are listed in the story chronologically. They kick off with Yinzer's Night at the Altoona Curve on June 13th, but obviously there are we'll break down a lot of these. Let's kick things off there. We've talked a little bit about Yinzer's Night. Yins is a slang term in the Pittsburgh area, meaning like y'all, basically. It's like their version of y'all, but they got a lot going on with this. They've done a good job tying in that weird central and western Pennsylvania culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just generally speaking for this article, it's hard, especially with none of these promotions having happened yet. You can't really say what's best. But as someone who pays attention to this world and keeps a meticulous spreadsheet of things that are going on, this column is just 10 that are intriguing to me, an expert whose opinion you should trust. And, in the story, it's in chronological order. And first up, Tyler, as you mentioned, is the Yinzers. A lot of these promos I think we've mentioned in different segments of the podcast this offseason because they've all been pretty interesting. But the Altoona Curve suiting up as the Yinzers. They're doing it 7 times season. But the one I put in the column is when it all really comes together. On June 13th, they're playing as the Yinzers, the Allegheny Yinzers, and there's going to be Pittsburgh Dad in attendance. And if you have YouTube, which you almost certainly do, if you're listening to a podcast as well, you also have access to YouTube. You can check out Pittsburgh Dad. He's a not quite a satirical character, a comical character with who is essentially a Pittsburgh dad. And of course, he talks like a Yinzer and is a Yinzer. So to have this kind of cult Pittsburgh celebrity, Pittsburgh Dad, in the ballpark for a Yinzers night in Altoona, it all really comes together for that one. And
nice job tossing that in there.
Yeah.
And then, so from there we go to Lollygaggers Night, which I think is something we talked about before as well.
We probably mentioned it, yeah. Durham Bulls Lollygaggers Night, and if you've seen the movie Bull Durham, you probably remember that bit of that little locker room. I don't know if it's a tirade, but a locker room. Skip gets he's sneering and contemptuous and just disgusted with his team in the locker room, and he says, "You lollygag around the infield. You lollygag your way down to first. You lollygag in and out of the dugout. You know what that makes you?
Larry
makes you a lollygagger." Yep, Larry. Lollygaggers. So the Durham Bulls are actually playing as the Lollygaggers on June 14th, and just to have a very specific reference, a lot of teams do pop culture references, but to have a good pop culture reference that also ties into the team, to the movie that is so associated with your team, you know what I'm trying to say. Very meta. Everything's all tied in together.
Meta today.
It is. So Durham Bulls Lollygaggers. It's another one I put in there. Moved on from there to Stud Muffins. The Binghamton Rumble Ponies are doing a What If night. And, one of the finalists in their Name the Team contest before they went with Rumble Ponies was Stud Muffins. And I think everyone just really wanted to see the Rumble Binghamton team be the Stud Muffins at least once. So, I had to throw that in as one that's very intriguing. I think we probably mentioned this one as well, but this Stud Muffin is just like a muffin with arms. And most muffins don't have arms, but this one does. And, he's sneering and angry and a very grandiose looking anthropomorphic treat.
He's also bolted in for some reason. I guess that's the stud part of it, right?
Yeah, I guess there's some rivets in there. Yeah, he's a stud. I was looking at Binghamton's Name the Team press release from when they had Stud Muffins as one of the finalists, and I was like, why did they want to call it Stud Muffins anyway? What was their rationale? Because all these ridiculous names always need a rationale. And in the press release, when you could choose Stud Muffins as a name for this team, it said it was a reference to the collection of carousel horses belonging to Binghamtonians.
Sure.
And I don't understand why a collection of carousel horses belonging to...
I think it was the stud. They just wanted they thought of what's the most horse, what kind of horse puns can we use? Rumble Ponies is one of them. Stud, you putting them out stud. And then what can we work with stud muffins?
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting into 5-6 degrees of making sense here, but that's probably why they didn't pick it.
Yeah. And do you really need a reason? That's what I love about it. You do need a reason, but then the reason can be ridiculous, as if you didn't even need a reason at all. But you always need a reason, even if it's ridiculous. We talked about this one, I think, just last week, but Charleston River Dogs Helen McGuckin night, a local Google Level 7 guide who gave the team a 2-star review, along with the commentary "Just drove by."
I'm very emotionally invested in this one. How no one has tracked this lady down yet in the age, not only in the age of the internet, but she's a certified local guide on Yelp, which means she's very tied in with the internet. How somebody has not gotten in touch with Helen McGuckin to explain there are people on podcasts talking about you, and the Charleston River Dogs have dedicated an entire night to you. I'm very into this night, and they have to find her, right?
I would think so. They have until July 9th to track down Helen McGuckin and give her a night at the ballpark, in which that will prompt her to change her review from 2 out of 5 to 5 out of 5. So that's literally the premise of this promotion. One of my favorites of the year.
Her review was "just drove by." 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah. Can you imagine being motivated to review a place that you drove by? I'm going to write movie reviews based on just film titles I see on the marquee. It's the same basic thing. Moving on, we started this chat with Tyler, one of the teams he used to work for, the Altoona Curve. Here's another one he used to work for, Myrtle Beach Pelicans, who earlier this week, I believe it was earlier this week, time is just flying by, but they announced the David Bodie McBoatface bobblehead for July 13th, and this is capitalizing on a internet joke from the last several years where there was an online vote to name a boat in the UK, and Bodie McBoatface won. And since then, Mick Boatface or Mick whatever face jokes have flown all over the internet, especially Twitter, whenever the fans are allowed to decide something. So Myrtle Beach went ahead and said, all right, you guys want the McBoatfaces? We're going to give you one. And it ties into the player's name. And he's on a boat in this bobblehead, or his midsection is sticking out of the boat. It's a little weird. Or I guess he's half man, half boat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah. He is the boat face, though.
I guess he's a boat and his face. Well, check it out, July 13th.
Also, David Bodie in the news this week, signing an extension with the Cubs.
Yeah.
So this is timely.
It's a big
It won't be
week
so
for
much July 13th, but he'll be in Chicago for a while at least.
Yeah, it's going to be smooth sailing for McBoatface. Syracuse Butter Sculptures Night, July 14th. The Syracuse Mets have partnered with the New York State Fair, which takes place right near Syracuse, on this butter sculptures promo. Apparently, at the New York State Fair, butter sculptures are a thing. They can weigh as much as like a half ton of sculpted butter, depicting all sorts of pastoral scenes or maybe even urban scenes. I don't know, the full. How diverse butter sculptures are, but talk about a weird alternate identity. Syracuse as the butter sculptures on July 14th with a logo that of course features like an anthropomorphic sneering stick of butter who's partially unwrapped, and they're going to give away a butter sculpture of their mascot as well.
I just love how this piece of butter has more pants than most mascots.
Yeah, he does.
That's true.
Heaven forbid
Makes
we
Clark
show the
the
bottom
Cub
section
very
with a stick
jealous.
of butter. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some standards there. This butter is marginally modest stick of butter. Yeah. Wow, it was a great joke. I got the Rochester Red Wings on there, July 24th. They have an usher named Phil Salamone. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he's worked with the team for 34 years. He's just one of those guys who, everyone loves to say hello to. His catchphrase is Uncle Phil loves you. So the team is giving away a bobblehead of this usher, Uncle Phil, that says, "Hi, everybody. Welcome to Frontier Field. Uncle Phil loves you." And it's in the voice of this guy, Uncle Phil. So as you know, if you've listened to this podcast or read my work through the years, obviously a big priority for me has been trying to tell the stories of people who work at the ballpark or ballpark regulars, people who make a place unique. And so I always love to see people like Uncle Phil get some love. And he's been with the team for 34 years. So
let's play that for the podcast.
All right, go for it. Turn it up.
Turn it up a little bit and get Uncle Phil actually so everybody can.
That's the bobblehead itself.
That's the bobblehead itself.
Okay.
That is not Ben's rendition of the bobblehead.
Yeah, that is what the bobblehead will sound like. It will be. It is a talking bobblehead, July 24th, and talk about an honor, man. You're not sure with a talking bobblehead.
If you could have a talking bobblehead, if a team came to you, and let's be honest, this might happen. This could be in the realm of possibility someday, and said, "We want a talking Ben's Biz bobblehead." What would it say?
Oh wow. My talking bobblehead would say, it's hard to say what my favorite ballpark is. I mean, that's my catchphrase.
That is perfect. That is perfect.
Trying to be diplomatic to the end. I
don't think you're going for the hard sell on that one. But
No.
I don't think some team in Iowa, Quad Cities or something like that, is going to be like, oh, Ben won't say we're his favorite park.
Yeah, if any team wants to give away a Ben's Biz talking bobblehead, I will just brazenly sell myself out. And the talking bobblehead can be me saying that whatever team does this, you're my favorite team and my favorite ballpark. I am for sale, no integrity, no journalistic.
You could just say
ethics.
PNC Field, PNC Park, and just cover like a bunch of bases. There's
so many of them.
Yeah.
BB&T. You could mean
there's
fifth third.
Of those.
You got a lot of options there. Yeah.
Hey, who was it that's doing the C-list celebrity night? Maybe again, like we tossed ourselves out there as possible attendees. If you want to do bobbleheads as well, we're gladly your C-list people.
Yeah.
Easily C-list. I don't even remember who that was. Wasn't that Charleston as well?
That is Charleston.
Okay.
Sea Night. Yeah, they're celebrating mediocrity, so we of course are offering.
We're the target
offering
market for
ourselves.
that.
Our hands went straight in the
Yeah.
air. Hello, here we are.
Did someone say mediocre? Oh, let's do this. Florida Man Night, Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. This one's gotten a lot of attention, of course, especially on the internet. Florida Man jokes have run pretty rampant, and there's just this phenomenon of, Florida Man headlines starting with Florida Man and then some absurd, maybe scary, maybe almost very strange thing that Florida Man has done. So the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are celebrating Florida Man at the ballpark. That's gotten a lot of press already. And they're having some fun with that one. They promise to break a weird law every inning, so I don't know how that's going to work. But if you want to break the law at the ballpark, that's going to be interesting to see. Sponsored by a local law firm, personal injury, criminal defense lawyer. They got a guy named Lane Pittman, an internet, celebrity of sorts, who is sort of the prototypical Florida man, in the same way that Pittsburgh Dad is a prototypical Yinzer. They've got this guy Lane Pittman, whose I think most viral video is him standing shirtless with an American flag as a hurricane's bearing down while Slayer is playing. So that's a very American tableau. He's going to be at the ballpark.
Do you guys know why Florida Man is a thing?
I think it's just like every crazy news story that comes out of Florida with like, Florida man tried to eat neighbor's dog. Like, I think it just turned into a meme that way.
Yeah, and it became a Twitter account called Florida Man.
Right.
That documented all these
compiled
Florida
all
Man
those.
stories.
Right, but the reason behind all of that is I think Florida has like the
highest rate of crazies per capita.
No, well, maybe, but I'm not saying that. The biggest like sunshine laws in the country, like police departments have to put out into the public all the crimes that they've arrested people for or that kind of stuff. It's much harder to keep stuff in the shadows. So it's so much like it's just easier to find all the kooky, crazy stuff. And then that stuff goes viral because you tack on Florida Man on the front.
Good point, Sam. I've read that and forgot, but that is, I think, has a lot to do with it.
As much as we all love to just pile on Florida and say, oh, this crazy stuff happens. All this stuff probably happens in our small towns and across the country as well. We just don't hear about it.
I think now would be the good time to have a real long digression debate about whether our rights to privacy is superseded by our rights to know, like what's going on.
We can pivot that way right now. I'm prepared. Yeah,
yeah, I know. It's interesting. I can see both sides. But we're going to move on, from that discussion to, the Lansing Lugnuts who are doing an Oregon Trail Night. That's pretty cool.
There's a good transition there somewhere.
Lansing did the backyard baseball promo last year with Pablo Sanchez. I can't say this guy's name. Pablo
Sanchez.
Pablo Sanchez bobblehead. Pablo Sanchez.
Who was like a legend in backyard baseball.
Pablo Sanchez.
Yeah. That came around like right after my era of playing Sam, you were big into backyard baseball, right?
Oh, of course I was.
I had just moved past that level of gaming. So I never really got into the backyard games, but people who were into the backyard games, Pablo Sanchez was like he was MVP baseball. Barry Bonds, who was John Dowd because Barry Bonds wasn't in the video game. That was Pablo Sanchez. For those who are of more my age / on to Ben's age than Sam's age, now you know. But that was last year, so it doesn't matter.
That was last year. I bring it up because it was a nostalgic, video game related promotion, and this year the Lugnuts are going with Oregon Trail. And while backyard baseball was a little after my time, Oregon Trail I played a lot and I was really good at it. I would go as a farmer every time, so I'd only start with $400 and I'd still get everyone there in full health, like at the end of it. No pithy, funny, snarky tombstones along the way for me. I got everyone there in good health and I took a lot of pride in it. Loved playing that game. I wouldn't even shoot animals that I couldn't take back to the wagon because I'd still feel bad even like virtually seeing like a dead bear that I couldn't carry back to the wagon. So I loved this game, as many of you love this game. It's a truly educational game. And, not too many concrete details regarding what Lansing is going to do on this night, but, I have faith that whatever it is going to be pretty fun and pretty funny. And they're giving away a Daniel Norris Colonial bobblehead, so we'll see what that entails.
Which makes a lot of sense, yeah. Daniel Norris, somebody who could probably plug himself onto the Oregon Trail right now and get himself there.
You both, by the way, you both, as East Coasters, say Oregon.
I said Oregon, didn't I?
No, you.
Oregon.
You
Oregon.
with the gon.
I can't even say Pablo, so I don't know what.
I just my brother-in-law does that, and I'm like, it's not a shape, Jay, it's a state. So I had to ask. By the way, any Mariners affiliate who does Ken Griffey Jr. baseball night, I'll be there. I'm just telling you right now. Anybody out there, Eugene, Tacoma, whoever it is, I'll be there. Greatest baseball game ever made. Nobody's ever done a Ken Griffey Jr. baseball night. Got to be a Mariners affiliate to do it. I'm sorry, Reds fans, but that's my thing. Throwing that out right now.
All right, Tyler's spoken,
just
and
in case anybody cares.
Hey, I think people do care, and I think this might happen. And I think, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step or something like that. And that was just the single step that will somehow be a 1,000-mile journey, and you will see the promotion you desire. The last promotion I have on my list, it's funny, the Omaha Storm Chasers got a lot of publicity this week for announcing an April Fool's Day promo called where they were going to be the Omaha Potholes. And that was an April Fool's Day joke. But then today, they said, you know what? We got such a great response. We're going to do it. But all along, for months now, there's been a promotion like that is just as ridiculous, that has just not been a joke ever. It's been a real thing. And this is one of my favorite alternate identities of the year for sure. Bowling Green Hot Rods are not going to be the potholes. They're going to be the sinkholes on August 30th, which is celebrating the anniversary of the time a giant sinkhole opened up at the National Corvette Museum and 8 classic Corvettes got sucked into the sinkhole. So just such a bizarre event, and now a bizarre alternate identity for a minor league team, celebrating something that, as I put in my write-up, that probably they're celebrating it because time has passed and everyone can laugh about it now. I imagine when it happened, it was kind of like, oh man, this is horrible. But nobody got hurt in the sinkhole. We did lose some Corvettes, RIP to these Corvettes. But now we have a great alternate identity. And I, for one, would trade 8 Corvettes for a great minor league baseball promotion. So,
which says something about you. But
it does.
One thing I love about this too is that it's so well thought through. It's not just like, Omaha just kind of threw it out there and they're like, how funny potholes. We photoshopped this, probably took 15 minutes. Bowling Green, the logo is a car that is half in the ground. You put it on the hat, but like the undercarriage has a B and a G in there in the undercarriage, which is really neat looking. And then the jerseys look like they're half sunk themselves.
Right. And then if you even look at the jerseys, you see there's kind of like silhouettes or subtle outlines of like stacked cars within this like sunken dirt color.
Yeah.
Sam's mind is blown.
It is blown. The fact that we're still finding things, I feel like we talked about this months ago, and the fact that we can still find things in these, they're one-offs, right? It's going to be just one night.
Yeah, just one night, August 30th. That's the last week. Here we are on the cusp of opening day, and we're talking about something that's going to happen on the Friday of the last regular season. But that's the whole point of this article and this discussion is a lot of stuff is happening this season. And I hope this discussion just, further your enjoyment of or educated you a little bit more on what some of the better promotions are. And there's so many more out there, and I'll be writing about them all over the place and doing a lot more this season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Do you know road trip schedule wise? Do you have an idea of what's coming? Obviously, you can't tip everything, but some indications.
I have it. I have my schedules made. It's not going to be really a surprise that I'm going to be hitting the new ballparks. I'll have the specifics released, I hope, next week, with the first trip happening in very early May as it stands now. So,
weren't you announced as a promo?
I was announced as a promo?
Wasn't there a team that said they were having Purge Night with you, or was that an...
Oh, that was an April Fool's joke.
Oh, man, I fell for that. I was like, Ben hasn't even announced his thing yet, and he's part of a Purge Night.
Yeah, that was an April Fool's joke in Lehigh Valley. There will be no Ben Hill Purge Night. I'm sorry to inform you.
Had big plans.
Yeah.
Benjamin Hill is on Twitter. You can find him at Ben's Biz. The story is up on the site right now, the most intriguing minor league promos of 2019. And the blog is bensbiz.mlblogs.com. And keep it tuned to the site and the blog for all the information about road trips and where you can catch Ben this season. He's made it to every minor league ballpark. And now that there are new ones opening, those ones have got to be on the list. So if you've got a new ballpark in your town, Ben will be there sometime in 2019. So get pumped for that. Thanks, Ben.
Hey, thank you. Get pumped for me, without a doubt. And, I'm pumped for you guys. Just because.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate that.
Hey, you're welcome.
Final final segment of the 2019 Opening Day Preview Edition Megacast of the show before the show. Big thanks to MacKenzie Gore, who you can find on Twitter at mgore181. Benjamin Hill is at Ben's Biz. Our pre-show poem today, I'm actually going to let Sam describe, because this was a venture that I don't even want to act like I had any hand in being the part of the creative force behind this, but that was awesome. The night before opening night.
Yeah. So the way we wanted to kind of celebrate, we're recording this on Wednesday, as you heard Ben mention in his segment. We wanted to do something to celebrate the night before opening night, and the guys down in St. Pete, specifically Brad Freeman, came up with this. Friedman, I want to make sure I got that right. Came up with this idea to do a "Twas the Night Before" #MILB opening night poem that was going to be shared by multiple teams. It's a Twitter thread. You can find it on our Twitter page at MILB. And so Kelsie and I got involved in the process, and we started putting together what would the minor league baseball version of "Twas the Night Before Christmas" look like. And Brad came up with some ideas on pictures and trying to involve every part of the ballpark experience. And we got a lot of teams involved, so I just want to run through them real quick and thank them for their involvement in that Twitter thread. It was Lake County, Gwinnett, Lexington, Tennessee, Frisco, Rancho Cucamonga, Nashville, Omaha, Myrtle Beach, Indianapolis, Harrisburg, King County, Altoona, Quad Cities, Tulsa, Richmond, Johnson City, Missoula, Clinton, Pulaski, Salt Lake, San Jose, Tampa, Springfield, Stockton, Round Rock, and then went back to the @MILB one for the final tweet. So yeah, really cool idea. We'll have to see what we can come up with next year. Kelsey's still here, by the way.
I'm here, and yes, I did have a big hand in this.
Yeah. Well, let's see what poem we can do next year.
I don't know. Send us your poem suggestions. Maybe there's an all-star night before we could do for each and every single all-star game.
No,
Sam's eyes just completely went black right now.
I only took one poetry class in college, so the fact that I could rhyme it all for this one was a slight miracle in itself. But
you're from New England. I feel like they all write poetry.
You're from New England. Josh, did you hear that?
I did. But I take it, Sam. I think it's true that we are prone to good word making together into nice sound words and convey meaning.
Is that a haiku?
Nothing showcases it quite as much as that sentence right there. Prone to good word making together and good sound making.
That's why they paid Josh
to convey.
See, that's a direct quote though from E.B. White, Maine native, as Josh knows.
Oh my god!
I recently was reminded about the podcast a few years ago, the opening day one, where we just were arguing and annoying Sam about Commonwealth versus states.
Oh yeah.
And I think I called something a Commonwealth state, and so that was really bad. But good time.
Commonwealth is nonsensical.
Don't do that, Kelsey.
Because Commonwealth don't exist. This is America, Sam. We fought a war to not have to call things Commonwealth.
Which one? Which war?
The Revolution. I'm assuming that's a British thing. Commonwealths. That is the British Commonwealth under the crown. That's a whole British thing. We fought a war over this, Sam.
All right. Well,
you and Virginia.
Sorry
we
to
have
make
an
this
entire minor league baseball season to talk about this and so many others.
Also, I just want to point out that I love that there were short season teams involved in that poem today, because they kind of get to be like the Michael Collins of this whole thing, where it's like, all right, you guys all go out and have fun, and we'll stay up here until June. But I appreciate that. Like, nice job, Pulaski and Johnson City jumping in on the poem. It's not the night before your opening night, but still team players.
Yeah, they're
the Appy League.
They're celebrating their brothers of other affiliations.
Exactly. I like it.
Some Billy Collins action in there too. Just to bring it back to the poetry. When you said Michael Collins, I was like, Billy Collins? Is he talking about Billy Collins? But no, I got. All right, listen, we should sign up,
Collins? Huh? Phil Collins? Nick Collins, a kid I went to grade school with? Okay, we're gonna wrap up this episode because nothing makes sense anymore. But for all of those kids in New York City and Los Angeles, California, Josh out west in LA, Kelsie Heneghan and Sam Dykstra in New York. My name is Tyler Maun. Thanks for tuning in to the season preview episode of the show before the show. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy opening night across the minor leagues. Sorry, I had to jump in one final time to say happy birthday, Sam Dykstra. It is Sam's birthday coming up on Sunday, and we all wanted to make sure to wish Samuel C. Dykstra, as we all learned that Sam's middle name is actually Collins, which ties into our last conversation. Sam's birthday coming up on Sunday. Happy birthday, Sam. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's at Sam Dykstra, MILB. Wish him a happy birthday there. And that's it. Talk to you next week.